Reality recap.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I know you have the reunion. Yes, we have 2 more episodes. And then we have the reunion, of course.
I look like a slave. I look like a mom. She was like, you the one that look like you got a high body count hair. I fell the fuck out, y'all.
Candace, has Deborah reached out to you to apologize after the episode aired showing Chris did not flirt with her?
She wouldn't dare. She would get eaten for breakfast.
Oh boy.
No, she's doubling down.
Why would you go meet with Ray J without talking to Princess or letting her know why? Like, she's trying to justify that she told her after the fact and not supposed to make it.
What do you think of your ex-husband Jim coming out and saying you did not try to stop him from suing Shannon and Tamara?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, if his memory's a little foggy about what transpired back then, that's okay. However, he did admit that I had nothing to do with the...
Reality recap. Reality recap.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl V with Reality Recap here for another Tea Talk session. And today we are covering Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 14 Reunion Part 1 that aired this past Tuesday. Before we get into it, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. This Tea Talk session is exclusively on my YouTube channel. It is not a live session. This is pre-recorded, and that's why you should subscribe, so you don't miss any of my recaps on all trending reality TV shows. And while you're at it, make sure you follow me on Instagram and on Facebook so that you don't miss a thing when it comes to this reality news. You can follow me on social media along with TikTok at the name you see here at the bottom of the screen, reality_recap. And the YouTube channel is right there at Reality Recap 2876, scrolling across the screen. And don't forget to like, share this video as well. I appreciate you guys and your support. Now, I did give you guys my thoughts a little late on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills finale, which I realized after posting it that a couple minutes into it, the rest of it is muted, and I can't understand why. I was devastated because I really gave my thoughts after listening to a lot of thoughts from different content creators and really feeling like I'm one of the odd men out when it comes to my thoughts on Garcelle. So I'll, kind of mix in my thoughts as I go through the recap of the reunion and, kind of mix that in with my thoughts from the finale as well, just so you get the full picture of where I am with it. So let's get into it. Now, on the Beverly Hills reunion last night, not last night, Tuesday. Sorry, I'm late doing my recap. It's now Thursday. But on the reunion that aired this past Tuesday, part 1, we talked about, I say we like I'm there. I think I'm Andy Cohen, guys. But we talked about Dorit knowing that PK was invited to come to the reunion, her saying she was for it. However, he declined and he provided a statement. And really in the statement, he talked about how he feels that Dorit has betrayed him as a bad father this season, that the Dorit that he used to know and married would have never did that to him, and that he doesn't feel that being at the reunion, that it's a conducive space for them to have a constructive conversation. So he declined. And he also talked about how he has numerous friends and family willing to vouch for him being a great father. I was a little surprised, not that he didn't show up, but I guess I was more so surprised that he felt like Dorit painted him to be a bad father. I didn't necessarily feel like he was a bad father. I think I did question at first because she was saying how, she hasn't been hearing from him, and they're not speaking. So I did have a question of, well, if he's not talking to her, is he seeing the children? But then I said to you guys that I see on his social media that he really has been seeing the children a lot and having them on his page. So that's how So I definitely didn't feel like she painted him to be a bad father. I was a little surprised by that. Maybe it's just me, but an alcoholic, definitely. She said that multiple times, which in my opinion wasn't her place to tell. But she did say that she had gotten permission from him to talk about it. It's something that he had talked about openly. So she felt justified in her talking about it, that she didn't say anything she didn't get permission to say. So hey, that's how she feels, and he didn't show up to give his side. So what else do we have to go on? um Dorit also talked about how her feelings as to what changed in their relationship, and I honestly feel like it's her, you know. um she started out as the wife, probably behind the scenes or behind him, and he's the breadwinner. He's the one that everybody knows is Boy George's manager. He's the popular one. And then she comes on this show and she gains popularity, celebrity status. She's making money from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And I don't think it's just the way PK talks to her. I could see it being how she talks to him as well. So I'm not really buying that, to be honest. I do think that what we've seen of Dorit on this previous season, season 14, she's a lot more, rough and tough. I'm not going to use the word aggressive because I don't like when they say that about Black housewives, but she definitely has a new attitude. Let me say that. And I think that that came across in her marriage. And his drinking didn't help. Not going to blame that on her and make like he's, you know, um, using alcohol to cope with the way she talks to him. I think he said that in the season, but I do think that the switch in roles a bit may have added fuel to the fire of their divorce. I definitely do. So Dorit also checked Kyle. And let me say this too. There's a lot of talk about how they feel like everybody beat up on Garcelle, and we'll get into that. But I feel like from at least Dorit's perspective, she was checking everybody up there. She checked Kyle, she checked Sutton, she checked Garcelle. It wasn't all towards Garcelle, in my opinion. I do feel like some content creators are blindly following Garcelle as far as their loyalty, mostly Black creators. I'm just going to be honest, because she's a Black woman. And I get that. We want to protect Garcelle at all costs, but her hands are not clean, guys. That's just how I feel. And that's why I feel like an odd man out here. I don't feel like she was just the scapegoat here, or that everybody piled on her and it was all about Garcelle being this bad person and uninteresting person. I felt like, honestly, Sutton gave it, not Sutton, Dorit gave it to everyone. But Kyle definitely got checked there because they replayed some comments she made during the season where she seemingly was on PK's side, saying that she feels like Dorit is using the show to paint PK as a bad person, and she feels like Dorit has always wore the pants in their relationship, and she's kind of weaponizing his alcoholism. And she checked to saying, "Oh, you know awfully a lot about PK. You should know that much about me. I'm the one you're friends with, right? Y'all just send memes and jokes to each other. So an awfully lot for just memes and jokes." Checked. I said, yeah, Dorit, get at her. Because they clearly have been talking about, even in the text message she read, we know this already, that Kyle was definitely leaning towards PK as the one she favored in this split. It's because, and I felt like it's revenge tactic, because she didn't want Dorit getting in her business with Morgan. Like Dorit said, when she said her comments on Watch What Happens Live, she got iced out because of it. I think it was a revenge tactic by Kyle, just got my opinion. But Dorit clocked her and let her know, you supposed to be my friend, sis. So what you talking about? Now, what else did we get into on this reunion? Because I do think it was a great first episode of a reunion. I am not exhausted by this season. Have I seen how I seen other people say? I've genuinely enjoyed this season. So it was a good reunion. Let's keep going. Um Dorit also checked Sutton. Like I said, she checked Sutton because they started talking about Dorit's financials and her going through the divorce and the conversation at Kathy's home where Erica told her, like, you need to get a divorce lawyer. It's time to buckle down. If he's sending you emails saying that you're going to have to start paying this, you're going to be responsible for this, I'm no longer going to take care of this, it's time to get a lawyer and stop thinking that y'all going to get back together. He's talking in divorce terms. And they asked Sutton, was she concerned for Dorit? And while I do think that Sutton may have concern for Kyle and Dorit in their divorce and probably just wanting them to avoid lessons learned in her divorce or make sure that they're aware of what their name is on, things that they sign, all of their husband's assets. That may be true. Just the way she goes about it in the shade in her confessional doesn't come off like she's supportive or really care for them. It's more like they're stupid. Everybody doesn't have the IQ as me. That's how she can come off sometimes. So, she probably get that from her mama, but it's not portrayed in a considerate manner. Let me just say that. But she checked her too. She said, "Oh, you're concerned for me? You would have to care about me to be concerned about me." I was cracking up, and she told her, like, and she's like, "Well, Sutton saying to her, well, do you know whose name is on the lease?" And she said, "Why would I discuss anything with you?" That's right, because you sat up here this season and told me how I'm miserable and taking it out on everybody else, kicking me while I'm down. So I ain't got no information for you. Although I will say, when they talked about the house being in foreclosure recently, and she's saying, like, well, PK said that they had changed the rate and he wanted to talk about it and he couldn't get in touch with them, so he stopped paying until they got back to him, and that's the way he said he do business. And even Bo said, no, that's the way you lose a house, child. So his way of conducting business doesn't seem like a good one to me, because all you're doing is accruing late fees and other fees, and probably still had to pay the increase unless he paid the escrow or whatever, the excess escrow, or if they were under escrow, whatever. I don't understand his way of thinking, but I would have been on him. I need to know the mortgage is paid every month and on time. Put that in your divorce decree if he ends up having to pay your mortgage continuously or pay your house off, honey, in the divorce. Get it done. I say, don't get mad. Don't get even. Get everything, in the words of Ivanka Trump, honey. If you know, you know, from First Wives Club. So I just felt like she checked her, like, mind your business. You don't really care. You ain't really concerned, and I don't got no sauce for you. But that was wild that your house went into foreclosure and everybody had to know that. She said it was paid now, but I just thought that was wild. They then talk about Bose and her being this spokesperson of Dorit, which I don't necessarily feel that way. I truly, genuinely feel like they connected this season. I don't look at Bose as if she's against Garcelle. Everybody came down on Garcelle because of, her actions on Watch What Happens Live, where, her and Erica was on Watch What Happens Live, and they were asked about Garcelle recently announcing her leaving Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And at first, they both said they stayed quiet, like, ain't have nothing to say. But then Bose did speak on it, saying, like, I wish she wasn't leaving so soon. I want to get to know her more, and I hate that she's leaving on these terms. Maybe there's more to come in the reunion that will change my mind, but they were, I saw some pages saying, like, oh, Bo sitting up there skinning and grinning with Erica. And I just didn't feel that way. I felt like she answered it. She was shady on the show, as most housewives are, mostly towards Sutton as well. She was shady. So I didn't get that. But I think Bo spoke really highly of how she was offended by people saying that Dorit manipulated her, that she formed her own opinion. She's not manipulated by anyone. She has, she's smart enough to make her own decisions. And again, I felt like they genuinely formed a friendship, and Bose may have been there to her defense, no different than Garcelle is for Sutton, or how Sutton is begging Kyle to be there for her. That's what girlfriends do. So I don't know. I just didn't feel like she was manipulated by Dorit, or Dorit was like putting her under a spell of don't like the other ladies just like me. They connected more on what she was going through with PK than any beefs with the women. So I didn't feel that way at all. It was a little of a stinger though, because she said, I'm smart enough to not be manipulated by anyone, and if you think that someone, she was talking to Garcelle, that you think that someone could say something to me to change my opinion of you, then you don't think highly of yourself. That was a bit much. I don't think that Garcelle doesn't think highly of herself. Manipulated may have been the wrong word here, but rose-colored glasses, something like that we saw Dorit tell Garcelle about Sutton and her always being at her defense even when she's wrong. Maybe something to that effect, but Garcelle is not in a place of not feeling highly about herself. That didn't go over well for me. Then we get into the Garcelle is not interesting conversation. And I get it, right? Erica had nothing going on this season. All we did was watch her renovate her home. My good guy, Ken, from I Cannot Podcast, said all we saw was her actually live out a Wayfair commercial this entire season. I also said in my recap that was muted that I felt like it was unnecessary for them to pick up the cameras for not Todd. Why I keep saying Todd? Tom's conviction of wire fraud. Like, duh, we knew he was going to be convicted of something. I didn't. In her, it was almost comical in that camera pickup scene of her acting so shocked by it that he was found guilty, that he was going to be charged with an obscene amount of years in jail. I just found it comical because she knew that was going to happen. I also said in my muted video, you can't convince me that Tom didn't sit down with Erica and have a conversation like, this is coming down on me. He's a smart lawyer. Here's your roadmap to get out of this. And we start with you abruptly divorcing me and leaving. I will stand by that. Not saying, that's alleged. Those are just my thoughts. You can't tell me otherwise. So Erica had absolutely nothing going on this season. We don't see Erica dating anyone since her divorce or her leaving Tom either. She talks about, sleeping around town, but we don't see that. So her saying that Garcelle was not interesting, again, I feel was a poor choice of words, because I would be a hypocrite if I didn't sit up here and say, not that Garcelle is not interesting, but I have said in my past recaps on this season that we need to see more from her, more of her. And yes, she's acting in shows on Netflix, she's producing shows on Lifetime, she has all these great things going on. I would like to see that. And if she goes on a date here or there, cool. Put her on Love Hotel the next season. I think that would be interesting. In no way do I feel like she's a uninteresting person, but your storyline can't only be you stirring the pot and bringing up drama amongst what everybody else is going on. While I appreciate her doing that, because she will ask the questions that nobody else and everyone else is scared to ask, like about Kyle and Morgan, or saying the whole be a lesbian if you want to, or asking those type of questions. I appreciate that from her, but I also want to see more about her. Not what's going on with her kids, not what's going on with Oliver, but her. I think that would be interesting and add to her storyline. So again, I think she's very interesting. I would just like to see more of that. But there was some truth in what Erica said, and I'm not going to be blinded by that because I'm a Black woman and she's a Black woman. What was wrong is wrong, what's right is right. And I don't see enough of her life and would like to see more. And I'm not blaming her for that, right? I'm just saying from a production standpoint, maybe they don't follow her to do these work things or, see her behind the scenes at Lifetime when she traveled. Instead, they rather just not have her on the show those episodes saying she's out of town doing those things. But I would prefer to travel and see those things with her. That's all I'm saying there. So there was a little bit wrong wording, but Erica also pot calling the kettle, calling the kettle, calling the pot, 'cause she ain't got nothing going on either. But I would love to see more of Garcelle, and I hate that she actually left the show. I think she is a value add, and I hope she does return. And if she doesn't, that's cool too. She has a lot going on. She is a well-respected actress. She's played in numerous things, and you can't take that away from her, even if you tried. So that's just my thoughts on the whole uninteresting thing. Again, I've saw a lot of people like raw at Erica, and I'm just not in that space of that. I agreed with it to an extent. Wrong word, but there was some truth in there and seeing more of Garcelle's life. Just my thoughts. Um, they then talk about, Kyle inserts herself in that saying, like, well, Garcelle, you're saying, what more do you want from me? Well, I feel that. What more do you want from me? I've showed my life for, 14 seasons here. I've showed my marriage. And, you know, and they talk about Morgan. And this season with Kyle, it's been annoying for me with her too. I'm tired of seeing her sitting at home crying every episode. I've said this before in my recaps, as if this isn't something she brought on, this separation with Mo. We saw you bring Morgan on the previous season, be rebellious against Maurice, act like you can't stand him. You going out getting matching tattoos and letting Morgan tattoo your body and all this foolishness. So you thought the grass was greener on the other side, and you found out it necessarily ain't. Or honestly, it could be all of an act of her acting sad in this in this past season. I don't know which way to go with that right now. But to say Morgan is off limits to talk about because she didn't sign up on this season of the show, I agree with Garcelle there. She may have not signed up for this season, but you brought her on the previous season. She's a part of your life. This is reality TV, and I don't want to hear that. Like, at the end of the day, I do believe that her and Morgan are dating. That's alleged. Just my thoughts. I believe that they're dating. And right, like Garcelle said, even though her comment of at Chuck E. Cheese, if you want to be a lesbian, be it. It was shady. It was said to kind of again ruffle feathers and bring up something that nobody wants to say or talk about. But I believe there's truth in it. And until she's ready to show that, then maybe she should take a break because she's not being transparent with that. And although she talked about Mo, they get in front of each other. It's awkward. They're not having the conversations they need to. They're just sweeping things under the rug. Like, let's really talk about how you feel about him being in Greece with these women. Have a conversation instead of just looking at each other and you staring, talking with your eyes. Like, they don't really have deep conversations here. It was surface level bullshit she gave us, even with Mauricio, in my opinion. So what more do we want? That's what we want, you know? And I also want to mention with Kyle, right? Her saying that Dorit weaponizing the alcoholism with PK. I was so glad they played the clip of her yelling that out to Kim in the limo and in the previous season where she said, "You're alcoholic. We don't say that, but now I said it, and then now everybody knows." So it was again pot calling the kettle, calling the kettle, calling the pot. Like, I love when a good old rewind comes back of something they did that they're now pointing the finger at somebody else for doing, and they've done the same thing. I love a whole hypocritical playback, honey. And I was glad that they had that clip ready for her and discussed that at the reunion. They also then talked about the robbery comments. Robbery comments meaning how Garcelle has insinuated a few times. I'm not going to say she's obsessed, like Dorit said. That again was a poor choice of words, in my opinion. But Garcelle has mentioned several times that, oh, they had a robbery, but Dorit still has all her jewelry. And there were parts of the story, not gonna lie, that didn't make sense. Like, what robber gives you your cell phone back? Even Andy said that. Or you don't put the alarm on because the kids run around the house, things like that, when you know you can put an alarm on and be inside the house. So the story was odd. That's for people like me and the internet to speculate about. But when there's a friend or your castmate or someone close to you is saying that, again, I just feel like in the black culture, that's almost snitching. So I was again surprised to see how people were saying that, oh, they just came down on Garcelle so hard. I again felt like if you my friend or not even we frenemies, whatever, we on a show together and you're insinuating that my husband or me or both may have committed insurance fraud, I'll be to knock your head off because that could have sparked investigation. That could have, and maybe the investigation was done and nothing was found. But for you to insinuate that my husband would put me in danger, and I get Garcelle was saying, well, I didn't say you, I didn't see Pig, but she definitely, even though she said she didn't believe that Dorit had anything to do with it, she didn't say she didn't believe PK didn't. She didn't say any names, but it was very clear what she was insinuating. So I just wanted Garcelle to be honest in those moments of when you said be a lesbian to Kyle, you meant that to be a shocking statement. Or when you talked about the robbery and you sipped on your drink in the confessional, it was snide comments. So just own that. I ain't mad at it. Just own it. I just felt like she was like, oh, what? No, that wasn't my intentions. It was. It really was. And that to me is a form of snitching, to even insinuate that you think that they commit insurance fraud. Like, damn. And if I did, why you trying to get me in trouble, bitch? Damn. So I can't just turn an eye because someone's black. I just can't. And I love Garcelle on the show, but what's wrong is wrong and what's right is right to me, and I have to express that. And those are just my honest thoughts. I mean, at that point, they took a lunch break. Garcelle left off the stage as well as the other women, and Sutton checked on her, and she was almost in tears behind the stage saying, they're coming after me and saying I'm not interesting, and what more do they want from me, because I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, or I had to work all my life, or I don't have a rich husband taking care of me. It wasn't that for me in any of it. That I again don't feel like she's not an interesting person. I just want to see more. That's all. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on the reunion part one. I hope y'all don't chew me up too bad out there, but these are definitely my honest thoughts. And that's all I could do is keep it 100 with y'all. Excuse me. I got to keep it 100. So we'll see what happens on part two of the reunion. Again, it was great. I had to watch. I waited the next day and watched it on Peacock because I love an old, good, nasty, uncensored reunion, honey. And it was good. So I'm ready for part two next week. So please, again, before I get out of here, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Like this video, YouTube channel right there at Reality Recap 2876. And follow me on Instagram and Facebook, which you see here. And also TikTok at it's reality_recap. So you don't miss your daily reality news recaps. All right. And as I always say, reality TV stars are humans too. Don't forget that. It's your girl V with Reality Recap. And I will be back on Sunday. This week we're doing Sunday instead of Saturday recap of the newest episode airing this Friday of Love After Lockup. And I have a special treat for you guys. Melissa, you guys know Melissa and Louie from previous seasons of Love After Lockup and Love During Lockup. Melissa will be joining me to recap the episode and give her thoughts. And we'll catch up with her, see how things are going. Is she planning her wedding? How, we know Louie's doing his real estate thing. We'll check in on how all things Melissa and Louie are going. And it's going to be a good time. So make sure you set your alerts, subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss it. It will be live. I will make sure to put it up ahead of time so you know what time we are starting. It's going to be about 1:30 on Sunday, but make sure you set your alerts, guys. I can't wait. Y'all enjoy the rest of your week and have a safe weekend, and I will see you guys on Sunday. Peace.